Howdy, folks. It's funny. It's fun dealing with a bunch of theater professionals because you can say 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds, turning their intro on. They're still, yeah. Good morning, everybody.
You'd think of anyone, theatre people would know the difference, like a 15, 5-minute call.
Pro performers, pros. Oh, wait, hang on. I muted you.
Whoops.
So yeah, it's good morning. We're doing great. All right.
Everybody wins.
Wait. I'm asking you to unmute, Jamie, and you're just choosing not to?
Oh, wait. Why was I muted?
I muted you because we were going live and then you just started talking and I'm like, no, but unmute now because I want to hear you and I can't hear.
I had important things to say.
Well, clearly not. You wouldn't unmute.
Well, I wasn't aware that I was muted at the time.
Oh, gosh. So, hey, howdy, folks.
That was a great start, wasn't it?
The height of professionalism, that's what we do here. Thank you so much for joining us at Do Respite.
This episode is directed by Christopher Guest.
Just give me a sec here, because, speaking of professionalism, I don't have the text chat open, so 1 sec so I can actually see what people are talking about.
All right, we can fill in the gaps. How is everybody?
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Oh, look, struggle street, but I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah.
Struggle street.
I like that I like that again we've all worn colours or started to match our little icons again.
Yeah.
That makes me happy.
So, all right, let's pretend that we're going to do a live stream today, and let's do our intros. So let's start with. Oh, hang on a second. What's Drew and Sam are in the wrong boxes.
Oh.
So we'll need to do the.
I think that's
Okay, and that puts Jamie. Okay,
Jamie, you're still muted. All right.
So yeah, Jamie's in the right spot. Sam's in the right spot. All right, grade production. We can do this, but not today.
I like this. It's like musical chairs, but we've each got a chair to sit on.
Yeah.
And I don't have to move.
No.
Drew, why don't you do your introductions, please?
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Drew, and I am an actor and a puppeteer and a writer, and I do lots of stuff. Tonight, I was working in a cinema, tearing tickets and telling people where to sit.
And try not to tell them where to go. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, there were a couple that I did tell them exactly where to go in, that very polite customer service voice and tone.
Sam.
hello. I'm also doing, as I said, relatively well. I've been coordinating tours in pouring rain. I mean, I wasn't in the pouring rain. I was at home. But the people who were calling me were in the pouring rain and trying to work out what was happening. So
Excellent. Good.
I think we got through it all.
Very good. All right, Jamie.
Yes, I have a voice.
It works today.
It does.
Excellent.
You do. This week has been really intense for me. I'm doing all right, but I'm a bit frazzled. I'm excited to be here playing games with my friends. That's what I like to do, and we're gonna have some fun.
Alrighty, Chantal.
I'm good. I done a lot this week.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot.
You did.
So
excellent.
I did done a lot. So I'm looking forward to this now.
Did done a lot with the goodest English. Got it.
Yes, I have all of the words. I made up so many words in sessions today. And people go along with it. I really like that they just...
Shakespeare can do it, you can as well.
Yep.
Yeah, and I do.
It's the prerogative of being a writer is to invent language.
Absolutely. They can't stop me. They've tried.
I've got my housemates using subfunnular, which I just think is great. And I'm
Thus is our Momptonus inhumanity.
And of course, I'm Michelle. I'm the game master, storyteller for this great bunch. Just as a warning to those of you catching us live or on the VOD, everyone's quarter past crispy today, so this could be a slightly more fascinating ride than expected. All right.
Quarter past crispy. I've never heard that. I like it. I feel like I'm a slice of bacon that's been in the pan too long.
You've got the theme. So let's start out, I think, with the character recollections. Let's start with Spider. Spider, how's all this fit in your world?
Look, it's been a busy couple days. Mm-hmm. But we're starting to make progress. Admittedly, we only need to make progress because of me screwing us all around. However, I will make good. And I believe we were about to look into... we just sent word to our contact, Rachel Gray, is it?
Yes, that is her nom de guerre, if you will.
Yeah. This was Zadreza's contact name. That we're in. We're going to steal this stupid urn thing from one rich guy for another rich guy. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty harmless crime as far as I can tell. Mm-hmm.
All right. Alexandre, thoughts?
Yes, I have many.
Give us a few.
Okay. We're going to steal an urn. Mm-hmm. Does the urn have something in it? We don't know. Do we know where the person lives? No, not yet. We don't know a lot of things about what we're going to do. That perhaps should be confusing or concerning, but right now we've just reached a new inn. Mm-hmm. Yep. That is not in the best location. But, apparently leaving all means you have to keep taking steps down. There's a lot of information I found out from Lucas about Spider, and it's somewhat... I don't understand it. I don't understand why someone would leave their family. But I plan to find out eventually.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Chevalier. Thoughts and observations?
We have been attempting to determine what our best course of action is in light of our recent complications. We investigated how viable it would be to convince one of the ship captains heading to Düsseldorf to leave early. That did not prove particularly viable, and while I was not initially that interested in working with Aquidian, right now it seems to be our best chance to get some form of protection. So we will need to determine how we are going to steal this urn. We will need to settle into our new accommodation, and we will need to remain vigilant for the bounty hunters that appear to be after us. as well as anyone else who thinks they might have an issue with our group.
All right. And Lucas.
Yes. So, yes, all of that is true. We are at a new inn. It is called the Winter Crystal. We moved here because we thought it would be good to change location so that we can hide ourselves, since we disastrously whoopsied that one in trying to stay as quiet as possible. And what else? Yes, Alexandria did ask me a number of questions about Spider.
Wait, can you
Yes.
hear what's going on in this room?
I answered the getting. I know. I hear all these voices. Hey, Alexandria, how are you?
Only Lucas has that power.
What else? We did go to the docks. We went to see if one of these captains would take us a little earlier, and the cost of doing such a thing was so high that we thought, well, if we were going to pay them, we need more money. To do that, finding an urn might be the best way to do so, in order to make more money, but whether or not we make enough money in time before the 2 weeks is up, I don't know. But hey, it's something for us to do. What else happened? The pub that we are at is owned by Madeline Redding. Yes, I took notes.
Fantastic.
I took notes, everyone. Yes, and what else? I'm keeping my eye out in case Lucium comes and tries to... Lancium tries to come and kill me while I'm not looking. And
That's always
what else? Oh, I had a... Exactly. It is awkward. I don't know.
It's fine if
Which
you
is
kills
kind
you
of...
while you are looking, right?
Exactly. Well, it's better. Well, I don't know. Is it better to die unknowing or die knowing? I don't know. Or to be attacked. Either way, because frankly, look, if I was attacked, I can hold my own. I'm not gonna just know. I'm not a one-hit wonder. And also, I had a little chat with my brother because, well, frankly, it's upsetting. And it's painful to see my brother still reconciling with his past. And I want to help him through that, I think. Well, I know I do. But, yeah, I think a lot of questions were asked in the last session that, well, reaffirmed a couple of things and also made me question a few things more.
All right. It seems to me that one of the things that we were sort of on the cusp on was a rather weighty discussion between Alexandre and Chevalier. The brothers had their tete-a-tete, and there was a similar pending discussion. So I think we'll actually switch to that. So where is the scene going to be at? Are you guys, because you've got the place you're staying at, the Winter Crystal, has 2 rooms, 2 actual private rooms. The brothers have got one, Alexandre and Chevalier have got the other. Are you going to be just in your room? Are you going to be out for a walk somewhere under a nearby tree? Where are you when you're chatting?
I mean, it was just going to be in the room.
Okay.
And then you said under a nearby tree, and now I think like we're detectives because he's already got a trench coat. So if I can get hold of...
Please, can it be under a tree in the night?
It's
Is it raining?
The one street light in the entire city is just this
Yeah.
beam.
Doom, doom, doom.
It's going to be that kind of game session already, I can tell.
It is, I'm sorry.
Chevalier opens up his chest, and there's this lever goes from fantasy to noir. Cranks it down.
Hey, look, Michelle,
walking
we are
down
the
the
ones who
street.
named a district of this city Saints Row, okay?
I was wondering if anyone was going to get that, but
It's like,
Pulls out a decanter. Ready.
I delight.
I personally don't have preference about where we talk. I don't mind where.
room
If
I do. It's got to
Alexander-
be a tree.
It's got.
all right, if we have gone for a walk and there's a particularly nice tree.
There is a nice tree somewhere.
Excellent, excellent. All right. Because literally the reason I ask is if you look at the map, the area around the Grand Bazaar, the caravan port, there's trees dotted all around the place.
Which one's particularly nice?
Yeah, but probably the one you've just happened to be standing beside right now, I think.
I like that one.
Yeah,
So
it's a nice tree.
I owe you an apology, Alexandre. I told you that I would not leave your side until you were more comfortable with the brothers. And today I did not do that. I am sorry. I was concerned that given the circumstances, my presence put you in greater danger.
I don't think that could ever happen.
Well, maybe greater danger is the wrong choice of phrase. The greater chance of there being some kind of confrontation. I kind of stand out.
Given what we know now, I think Lucas stands out more.
Lucas stands out when you have direct line of sight, but in a crowd, when I am head and shoulders above the rest, it is quite easy to point me out, and word could get back to the ones looking for us. I also needed to know what that situation was, and part of me had hoped that if it was only a small number of people, we could dissuade them from continuing following us, but half a dozen seemed like a bit too many to do that to.
How would you dissuade people?
Same way you dissuade anyone. I would have a conversation with them.
By conversation, do you mean help them? Or do you mean have a conversation with them?
broken noses and punctuation, aren't they?
I am not trying to be fancy, Alexandre. If it had only been one or two people, I would have gone and had a word with them. That conversation may have contained veiled threats. It may have suggested that they would come to harm should they try to follow us, but I would not be actively hurting them in that process. Just pointing out that given between myself, Lucas, Spider, and you, we may be too much for them to bother with. But if there is enough numbers, that conversation would, well, it would have probably ended in violence. And that was something I did not want.
Did Cromer kill a lot of people?
I would not say so. There were definitely times where, in the heat of combat, lives were lost, but it was never the aim or the intention, nor was it ever considered a go-to option. That was something she and the others taught me when I first woke, and even today to an extent, it was my go-to option, which is how I am built.
What do you mean?
When I first was woken by your grandmere,
Yes.
there were only a few things that I knew I could communicate. I knew that I was a Praetorian, though I did not and still do not know what that was or is, and I knew how to fight. Whoever was behind my creation, I was built for combat, for war. That is what my systems move towards. And at first, that was how I responded within that framework. When someone threatened us, my thought process was that the most efficient way to handle the situation was to crush the opposition. It was through the example of the rest and the lessons that they taught me that made me see that that was not the case, that I had choice in the matter. Even today, well, even now, part of me will lean towards that option. And I choose not to go there without a very good reason.
Why is it? Is that why some people deserve to be killed?
Deserve to be killed is I am not sure if there are many people that I would use that description for, if any, ultimately. Though certainly there are people who by their choices, by their actions, have left little choice in the matter. They have taken the options away from others. They have made it so that is necessary. And that is unfortunate. But as an individual, I don't think people deserve to die.
You seem to think Tolman did.
I thought the best option for Tolman was to hand her over to the authorities so that she would be tried for her crimes. That would result in her death, as I mentioned, is the result of her actions, not just the actions in her criminal capacity, but also in the way she chose to deal with us. It would have been very easy for her to handle the situation in such a way that I would have been all for releasing her. She did not. By the end, we had very limited options of how to handle the situation in a way that would not ultimately harm more people.
If I were to be tried, what would happen?
What crime do you think you have committed?
I've killed.
Have you murdered?
What's the difference?
Intent, circumstance. You have been in combat where people were endeavoring to harm or kill you. That was their intention. There is only so far we can go debating if they are actively trying to kill you. And in that situation, you obviously need to defend yourself. And we can try to disable them. We can try to disarm them. But combat is messy. Combat is chaotic. Tensions are high. And options are limited. Decisions need to be made in a fraction of a second. People can get hurt in those situations, and all we can do is make sure those people aren't us. Sometimes people will die, particularly when you have limited experience, when you have limited control. But you are defending yourself, you are defending your companions. That is not a crime. It does not take away from the weight of the action. And I'm not saying you should just dismiss it, that you should just... It is good that it affects you. It should affect you. But it was not a crime.
Do you miss Cromer?
Every day.
I miss home.
It is difficult. Traveling, moving away from the things you know, the place where you are comfortable, where things usually make sense. Things will not always make sense in this journey. It is chaotic and strange. And you are moving towards the unknown. And that is always scary.
Yes. Yes, it is. I like this tree.
It's a good tree.
I think it's likely I'm going to kill again.
I would like to tell you that that is not the case, but I won't. We have people chasing us. People who wish to do us harm. And we can do what we can to avoid the conflict. We can flee. We can hide. But sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes they catch up. And like I said, it's difficult. In the heat of the moment, anything can happen. You might... If I try to knock somebody out, I have to be very precise with the amount of force used, with the location of the blow. But I am not in complete control. They could shift at the wrong moment, dodge in a way that I did not expect. Any number of things could happen, and suddenly I've hit the wrong spot. They've fallen the wrong way. And it didn't matter how hard I was trying to prevent it. It is always a risk. And it is an unfortunate reality when you are fighting for your life and the lives of others. It would be a better world if we did not have to, but it is not this world. All we can do is our best. All we can control is our intention and how we handle the consequences.
Okay.
And if you need to talk, I am always here. You did seem very shaken by the events with Tolman.
I had a lot of thinking to do.
I could see. It was certainly a situation that deserved thought.
Yes.
And it is unfortunate how it ended. But they did not have options, and Tolman, if we had let her go, it was only a matter of time before she would hurt somebody else. That was the sort of person she was. But how are you doing now?
I can't decide if I like it here or not.
It's an interesting city,
Yes.
particularly after being in Shining Capital for so long.
Yes. I don't know if the people here are happy with it or if they hate everything about it. But they seem to have fun while they hate. Or are happy.
Not everyone is going to like the Confederacy. It is very domineering. And in some regards, it is quite wonderful. And in others, it falls short, as do all societies. And there are people who have been able to manipulate the situation to their own end, and there are people who have suffered because the system does not work for them or does not work the way it promised. But the ideal is good.
Do you believe what Spider said?
Which part?
About the progress being a beautiful concept, but not being good enough.
Yes. I would probably describe it with a different tone. But then I have not had the same experience that he has. I have had my own run-ins with the Confederacy, with the Progress. I have seen it do wonderful things, and I have seen it do terrible things. I have seen it raise people who were worthy of the position, and I have seen it ignore people who deserved better. But the idea is good, a system where your worth is what dictates your position. But the problem is when you are at the top, you get to decide which kind of worth you venerate. And if you're at the bottom, well, you have no say. And even it is harder to be seen, harder to get the recognition.
So why choose that?
Why do you think they have a choice?
I meant Spider. But
Why would Spider choose to live amongst the lower echelons and not amongst the higher ones?
yes.
I can only imagine that despite Lucas and despite his mother's feelings, he must have been made to feel very unwelcome. You would need a good reason, but I suspect he had one.
I cannot imagine it.
You come from a home where everyone loves and supports one another, even if they do not always get along. Your mother and I, well, she never liked me all that much, but she accepted me. Treated me like family. I do not have much of a concept of family. It always seemed an organic concern. I know who is important to me, and that is all I need. But family is still important. They can do a lot of good, as your family has for you. But if the situation is reversed, the potential for harm is equally high.
So maybe I was not entirely wrong about Edgewaters.
Possibly not, though we do not know the full situation. But I suspect their priorities, potentially of the father, did not include Jasper's well-being.
That is sad.
It is, yes. I think Mr. Kilcare is a good man. Bit rough around the edges, but his heart is in the right place. Can't hold his drink, but
No.
I think both of them.
No, neither of them. Bad with alcohol.
From different directions, though.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
But in the time that I have known them, if someone could not see his value, that is their fault, not his.
I think it's an excellent place to close that scene, actually. That's probably an excellent defining statement right there. So, when you guys are all back together, because we keep in mind that, last session, Spider and Lucas yacked for a bit. So, where are you all going to be, back in the same space together?
Well, we had decided to get up nice and early to go meet.
Yes.
Yes, we had to meet Aquidian just before dawn.
Right, yes. So, yeah, I suppose you try and get a decent night's sleep, because Aquidian's idea of a reasonable hour and yours is out of sync by about 8.5 hours. So, yeah.
What's that like?
You've no clue what that's like, do you? So yeah, because sunrise is somewhere wobbly-ish 6 o'clock in the morning. So pre-dawn to dawn is 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. sort of thing. So yeah.
Great.
So you. Sorry. Yeah.
I was going to say at 5 o'clock I wake up Jasper.
Okay. Fair enough.
You got to remember, I've got a regimented body clock.
A military background. Yeah.
What do you want?
I just set an alarm. I just know we got to get up.
That's impossible.
No, we got to get
I'm up yet.
No, it's not impossible. It's just a mindset. You wake up, you get up.
Oh, why can't they meet?
Oh my God, an assassin behind you!
That's just my reflection.
That's a hell of a statement, isn't it? There's an assassin.
Someone who
It's
professes.
just my reflection. I mean, what did you just say?
All right. Yeah. I gotta put my face on. Give me a minute.
What disguise are you wearing today?
I gotta use the same one that we met them with last time, don't I?
Do you need me to do your makeup again?
No,
Perfectly bonding
that's a
time.
disaster waiting to happen because I got it.
Right.
I will
gonna go-
disguise myself once again as the strange elf who's a lot on the egg.
Wonderful. All right. I'm going to cross over the hallway and knock on Alexandrian Chevalier's door.
Go away.
Hey, thank you very much, Crow VR, for joining. Appreciate you the follow. That's great.
Whoop whoop. Whoop whoop.
I'd probably be the one answering the door in case Alexandria
Go away.
didn't.
Go away. I'm sleeping. Go away.
We need to go soon.
Yes, away.
Together, we're going to meet Equidian. All right, I'm going to meet you downstairs in 5.
Maybe
Hi.
ask them if they can put some coffee on.
Of course.
Enough.
Let me guess. You like a long black. All right, I will just make sure that it's on the stage.
That's not a transcontinental.
No.
say.
So for all the people who are living in the northern hemisphere, what I described was the Australian description for an Americano.
Yeah.
Thank you, because there was just really awkward dead silence where I was trying to do a translation, and unfortunately my background is Canadian Navy, and none of it was working well.
I've
Just reveling in the fact that, like, in both Chevalier being like, "What are you talking about?" and Sam being like, "Nah."
Great. Well, I will just make sure they've got the coffee on.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to go downstairs and make sure the coffee's on.
Sounds good. So the thing about this place is it's a one-person show. As I commented, the proprietor seems to be running the place basically by herself. So when I say the coffee is on, this may be a Canadianism. Do you know what Scotch tea is?
Nope.
Okay, so
sounds like long black to me.
yeah, well, so Scotch tea is literally there's a chunk of Canada along the coast where I'm from. It's Cape Breton Highlands, largely settled by Scottish settlers, and so the entire area has this concept of what we call Scotch tea, which is where you keep the same pot of water on the stove for 18 hours to 22 hours to 36 hours to 7 days, and all you do is keep adding water in tea bags every time someone enters the room. So,
Right.
Your hostess is not getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to make you coffee. In fact, what she has is the most awkward attempted drip perk that current civilization has ever seen, which is to say, a pot that had a cast iron pot with a hole in the bottom of it, which has been slowly dripping water through a pile of the equivalent of coffee grind since she went to bed at 11 o'clock last night, into a cauldron underneath it that's sitting over a low fire that she banked when she went to bed last night at 11 that you can just into.
Great.
So
I have no idea how this works.
So you're looking at this. It's clearly obvious the bottom cauldron is full of coffee. It's also very obvious that it's been dripping very slowly, and the fire has been this bed of embers all night, which probably means there's a significant amount of the actual water has been lost to evaporation.
Okay.
That's going to be the good stuff.
It's nice and strong.
A distilled coffee, I suppose, is as close as the expression as you're going to get.
I'm ready.
Wonderful. I'm going to take whatever I can of it. Essentially, I'm just grabbing a mug,
Yeah.
and I'm just going to scoop up a chunk of that coffee.
Yeah,
I imagine
there's a ladle in there, and you just pour it into your mug. It doesn't quite pour. It pours like a runny syrup. At this point, is the best description.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's fine. Look, I'm going to then find the nearest bucket of water and add a bit of that to it.
Oh, sure thing. Yep.
And then I'm just going to try and make it look like coffee as I know it.
It's coffee, Jim, but not as we know it.
Yeah. And hopefully I do this all before anyone comes downstairs.
I'm going to say, just because it'd be really, really funny if you did, and no one really knows what it is that Lucas has been up to, I think that's absolutely yes. You've got four steaming mugs sitting at the table when they arrive, and there's an empty bucket off to a side that no one can identify.
Yeah, great. Amazing. Yeah, no, that's my morning.
All right. So a little while later, the other three will eventually come downstairs.
8 minutes. Because ain't no way 5 minutes is enough.
Fair enough.
8 minutes is pushing it.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the help of Chevalier.
8 minutes is fast. Chevalier helping made it 8 minutes and not 30.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way I'm down there before 30 minutes.
So
Look, I'm just gonna.
the next 15 to 20 minutes, everyone's
Coffee's getting cold, people. That's all I'm saying.
I have to apply an entire disguise. Give me a break.
Oh, come on. You can do it faster than that.
Finally get downstairs. Lucas, why have you got 4 mugs on the table?
Oh, I made coffee for everybody.
Chevalier doesn't drink.
Maybe he can use it to oil his joints.
Looks at Chevalier.
See, my reaction would have been eyes coffee suspiciously, but
Wakes you up, keep the machinery working fine. It's
I kind of get the idea that Lucas has used it once before to oil the joints of his fake knee.
just in a pinch. Just like, screw it. Oh, come on. It's liquid. It's fine, right?
Yeah, good job.
how could this possibly go wrong? Yeah. All right. So, any.
As far as it goes, is this like a continental breakfast thing as well? So we've got like cereal, oats.
A better way of putting it is, with a bit of if you go into the kitchen and rummage around, you'll be able to find that the larder has got a lock-in key on it, but there is a block of cheese and a loaf of bread that's been left out because again, it's just the proprietor who runs this place by herself, and she won't be getting up for another 40 minutes.
Wonderful. Great. I get the block of cheese and I just whack it on the table.
I'm just going to say now, Spider, of course, locks are an optional discussion with Spider around, but. Locks are merely a
It's
suggestion.
definitely something that Lucas would suggest to Jasper.
Yeah.
Jasper, all we have for breakfast is cheese and bread. But there's a lock on the pantry.
You hungry?
Oh yeah, always.
Valet starts going. Is like, do we really need to antagonize the? And then just re-notices the like no tieflings allowed thing. He's just like, breakfast would be good.
Great. I love it. How many serves does Chevalier want?
Lockpicking, I presume, is like a agility check, yeah?
I believe that's the way that works, yeah.
I think so.
Oops. Bloody thing.
All the stealthy, thiefy things seem to be agility.
Yeah, pick a pocket is under there. It doesn't specifically say.
Okay,
But I
we'll use
presume that it would be.
Like it might be logic, but I don't.
Do I get an advantage here for my knowledge one in crime?
I was just going to say between lockpicks, background, etc. I'm totally okay with you having advantage 1 on that.
All right, let's go.
As well as bluntly, it's a relatively simple lock.
Yeah, sure. All right, well then, 22 will probably do it.
Oh, easy. Like I say, it was a suggestion, not an argument.
Yes. I can even keep the lock mostly intact, hopefully.
Right. Yeah, because part of me is like, gotta make sure you put it back. We've only just moved here. We don't need to.
Imagine if Spider had she said, "Hey, we should unlock this," and Spider just goes over and just smashes it open.
Experience.
Chevalier's just like, no, I got it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, Chevalier's idea of lockpicking is something different than Spider's.
It's more outside in than inside out.
Great.
All right.
Amazing. Great. And I also like encourage everyone subtly to drink their coffee.
Drink up. All right.
Equivalent of an insight check in this game.
Yeah, it's
This is my brother we're talking about. Everyone else can trust him, but
Okay, hang on a sec. My network, my internet connection seems to have gone to crap for a moment here, so just please hold. Yeah, okay, things just seem to have stabilized. Yeah, no, suddenly everyone was doing a serious case of Roboto, so, and yeah.
not ideal.
We did drop a couple of frames, but everything seems to be okay. All right, so yeah, we seem to be back to normal now. Good. Sorry about that, folks.
I think with like Lucas's comment about like needing to like lubricate the hinges and stuff on Chevalier, he is sort of sitting there doing like this sort of like just kind of quietly just to himself, and was doing like a self-diagnosis.
Yeah.
No, diagnostic. He's probably he is.
Yes.
So you sort of like see him. He's just like moving individual fingers and out, and then like every now and again, like the armor almost looks like it's just rippling. Sort of just like, and you know, it looks like it sort of moves away, then comes back.
Everything seems fine. I'm not sure what he's talking
He's
about.
sort of-
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Which I guess, now that I say it, it would have also been the first time the brothers might have actually seen that the armor isn't like a permanent thing. Well, it's definitely armor, but it's like
We've seen.
you've not seen him without it.
No, but we've seen you transform.
You've seen me add to it, but like
Yeah,
like
that's cool.
before we'd left back in China capital Alexandria hadn't seen me with it.
Right.
So
All right.
What does it look like? Is it like fluid? Is it like? I'm trying to think. What is it of a pop culture reference that matches?
yeah, it kind of it is a little bit like fluid. Like that's what particularly the add-on. It's not quite to that extent with the armor, but it does kind of like collapse away almost. You can just see like the just the it's a sort of there's just a regular body, which is sort of he doesn't look quite as in proportion when the armor's not there. He doesn't like take the whole. He's going like spot by spot, so it's not at no point is he sort of just like completely unarmoring, but like
I reckon I would totally like be intrigued by that. That would be something that like, not that I would like ask you questions, or maybe I would. Maybe I'd just be like, that is trippy. And far too much movement for this early in the morning.
Luke has been so good at this point, and then he's just like, no.
Well, cuz.
How do you do that?
What, you can't?
I've never really thought about it. It is just the armor system.
Can I touch it?
Holds out an arm.
Okay. And I'll put my hand up and I'll be like, hey, do what you just did.
It sort of softens and then goes away until it's just, and then the interior, like the endoskeleton, endoskeleton, I guess.
Exoskeleton. Is on the
Exoskeleton.
outside.
Exo is out.
I think an endoskeleton
yeah.
is just called a skeleton.
I think yeah. It's just like endoskeleton is just your skeleton.
Yes.
Exoskeleton is just like he's kind of, if he completely got rid of, and not all of it goes away. Like the face mask stays. His sort of the stuff over his shoulders and that kind of sweeps back behind his head and a little bit down his back. That all stays. That's all sort of kind of a permanent thing. So if he was to completely remove it, he looks like a really weirdly proportioned Terminator. Like that sort of like thin sort of thing, but like a bit gangly, like a gangly Terminator who's very top heavy. And then when he armors back up, it looks more like that's kind of how you can imagine that given that he was built, like that was how they intended him to be, because that's when he looks more in proportion. Still very top heavy though, because he's sort of almost like he's wearing shoulder pads and got this like mantle behind him.
Very physically imposing.
Yeah.
All right.
And you can remove this and put it back.
Yes. Could be self-repairs. When I was working, when I was in Shining Capital with the Donadu family, found it to be a bit much for people. Really drove that war machine feel home. And so I generally went without. It was not required for my day-to-day. But it is not the same, but I guess you could say I feel a bit naked without it. That is a inaccurate way to describe it.
No, I understand.
You're a bit naked for my entire life.
More that something was missing.
Chevalier, You confuse me in so many ways, but I think I understand you a little more. I too feel naked without my armor on.
I have in the past, particularly with soldiers. They seem to, as you did, understand that concept. Likely it is something to do with the conditioning for battle.
One must always be ready.
Yes. Combination of how you are used to being on a day-to-day, and for me, it just being part of my core design.
Can you do more than just make armor?
The back of on his back kind of sort of like shifts down a little bit, and little orb that's the same color as the additional armor when he sort of goes into sort of the more sort of complete combat mode, kind of like, and it kind of like it's that part is very liquid. It almost sort of like flows out, but then quickly forms this solid ball that just sort of starts floating.
What is that?
Norma, there was a time when it could be a lot of things. And on its own, at the moment, it is nothing. I can put a few of them together, and sort of two more pop out. And there's the definite, like, once the three of them are there, there's this sort of like, and you might have noticed it on the ship with the pirate ship before, that there's like a field, essentially, between the three of them. You can sort of tap on to an extent.
Who made you?
I don't know.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I have no memory of anything that happened before I was woken by Elena Donadu.
And nobody's given you any idea?
Nobody has known. I have never met another one like me. I suspect that there was a time when there were more. I do not know when that was. And I do not know who was the one to create me and others, if there are any.
This might seem personal, but do you want to know?
It has never been more than an idle curiosity. I know who I am. I know what I want to do. I know who is important to me. Where I come from, what I was built to do, or who did that, does not really affect any of those things. I do not feel much need to go out of my way to find out more. I do not know where I would start, even if I did.
What would you do if you met another like you?
I don't know. I guess it would depend on them.
Why?
We were built for a purpose, or I was built for a purpose, and that purpose, I believe, is war. We were soldiers. I was a soldier. That is how I, at first, related to the world through that lens. With time, I was able to move beyond that. I was given that opportunity, which I am very grateful. If I were to meet another, I do not know how much of my moving away from my core design was related to my resurrection. It is entirely possible that even my sentience is a result of the effect of the song. If I were to meet another and it was a mindless war machine, it would answer questions, but I would have to deal with a mindless war machine.
I'm going to look at Alexandre. The song.
Yes.
The song.
Yes.
Is that why you are Chevalier? Is that why you can do what you do?
I do not believe so. I believe these are mechanical things that were built inside me. Systems that I have to enhance my ability to fight, to withstand damage, to protect. Some of my systems currently, I have let them languish for a long time, and it has been harder than I anticipated to reactivate them. But all of them, well, they were not core systems.
Alexandre, what do you think?
About what?
The song. And Chevalier. I mean, you're the one who can hear it.
It knows who he is.
It.
Yes.
What do you mean it knows?
Well, exactly that. It knows who he is.
It's music.
Yes.
How can it know anything?
It just does.
I'm going to sip a big sip of coffee. And immediately regret that choice. And I'm going to look at Chevalier and Alexandre, and I'm going to say, is the song alive?
Maybe. I like to think so.
Just the GM is going to be
But
so. As soon as you say that, you are actually going to hear a brief moment of the song. And there's going to be a phrase that goes through your mind at that point. It's the song of the world. You have no idea where this thought comes from. You begin to hear those bars of music, the way they always sort of haunt you, and you just have this sudden thought. It's the song of the world.
yes, it's very much alive.
I need a bit of time to process this.
Jack Hall.
You know, music, being alive, giant machine with armor that can fold away. I'm grappling with some things, so
I think that's a perfect moment.
To go to close the scene, we'll do a little break and we'll open up.
Spider comes walking down the stairs dressed in
Spider, have
and
some
says-
coffee.
I'll pass. Come on, fellow adventurers. It is time for us to hit the road.
All right. So we're going to take a quick break, folks. Everyone go refill your coffee mugs or whatever it is you're drinking, stretch your legs, all the other good stuff. We will be back in 3 to 5 minutes, depending on how long it takes my tea kettle to go click, as usual. And then we will resume. So, yeah, be right back. Okay, we're back, ladies and gentlemen, and
Yay.
everybody else in the audience too. So yeah. So what have we decided? Are we? Is there more to discuss on the stroll over, or are we just going to be suddenly waiting in the Lake of Ancestors for Aquidian to appear?
Well, we are going to go straight there, but do assume that we are having conversation, please.
Yes,
Like,
okay.
it's not just a silent walk.
Yeah.
We are talking about things. I would like to know more about
Lucas
this tree.
is like pointing out. Got Lucas is enthralled by these little like drone orb things. He's put his hand through the field.
Oh my goodness, can you just like make him chase them down the street?
No, I'm like a cat. I'm like a cat with a laser beam.
I can't. I don't think I can do that actually.
Just make them float around him, just out of reach.
Yes. All right.
Have you seen that sketch with Kristen Wiig where she's got like the high forehead and the little teeny tiny hands?
What?
I'm like that with a ball.
All the high quality programming, ladies and gentlemen, right here for you. All right. So.
When did Lucas become the?
The better question is, when will Lucas stop being like?
There's a moment, and then
like,
it's like
From the
sorry.
beginning, what are we? What?
Sorry, I forget myself.
Clearly.
We have a task ahead. Onwards.
All right. So yes, that actually means it is now the 4th. So it's the morning of the 4th. One sec while I update my notes. You actually appear to arrive before Aquidian does. You get to the spot.
Are you telling me I could have slept longer?
Yes, but it's better to be early than late.
All right. So it seems you've got a couple of minutes. Is there anything you lot want to do? Does anyone need a reminder about what the setting looks like?
In amongst all the like barrows, right? And there's water around them.
Yeah, so the idea is that for whatever cultural reason, you guys haven't looked into it, of course, the Lake of Ancestors is an artificial lake. And it's the area around is essentially almost a dike style. That the green heavy band that goes around it on the map is essentially a dike, and then there's this inset artificial lake. There's trees all around the edges and things. The walkways and paths are all essentially ditch tops, if you will, and little bridges and things like that. And then yes,
And it's beautifully lit, am I right?
At night, yes, the trees all seem to have their own glow. Actually, it's actually a good point, because you guys are technically here. You'd still have the essentially the night lighting, if you will, and will for the next little while. Let me just change that so it shows up. Yeah, there we go.
Shell, do these barrows have names on them?
If you're going to sniff around, yeah, for lack of a better way to put it, if you plan on looking around, as a half-elf, you're actually able to read in the dark, unlike Lucas, who, if he didn't bring the equivalent of a flashlight, is out of luck. Yes, so all of them actually have got essentially it's an interesting piece of construction. It's very obviously the same thing. It's 8 or 10 stones sort of placed around a oh gosh, I can't remember the proper word for it. It's essentially it's when you have a square stone column with a pyramid on top. I can't remember the proper term for it.
An obelisk?
Thank you. It's a short obelisk, about possibly meter and a half tall, 5 feet tall, with a brass carved plate on it with a family name.
Are those family names ones that are in the style of the Shining Capital, or in the style of this place?
I'm going to ask you to actually make a perception. Do you think perception or learning? I'm not sure which one's more appropriate. Basically, because you're going to have to wander around. As a reminder, each one of those barrows is the better part of 7 meters across. And so this area is huge.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
A quick glance isn't going to do it. You're going to have to stroll around and look.
Right.
Because amongst
That's
other things,
fine.
the brass plates are about the size of your hand. And so at that scale, you can see there's a little bit of brass over there, but you're going to have to walk over and go read it.
Then that's definitely perception, not learning.
Okay.
I perceive badly.
Okay.
That's a 7.
So the short version, so I think that probably the most irritating thing is you seem to be you're over at that corner just before, and the 4 barrows occupying those quarters are all elven names. So the problem with elves is they've been around so bloody long is that they predate the Confederacy, so it's hard to tell if that's meaningful or not. Is that a political statement, or is that just no one's changed the brass plaque?
Right.
That's what a 7 tells you.
Tempted to ask V to just like carry me around to all of them because he's taller. Just hold me up to them.
Well, it's 1.5 meters. It's 5 feet. Eye level for
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, that is actually eye level.
the problem is the distance between them is what's irritating.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
it's every 7 meters, 20-ish, 6-7 meters, 20-ish feet, and so you're basically to get any information around, you do this 100-foot, 30-meter loop to see 4 plaques.
it's too early and too dark to do this.
Yeah,
That's what a 7 tells me.
I think that is a reasonable. I think that is an absolutely reasonable assumption. Yes. One sec. CC3. So you guys.
I think Lucas is just keeping watch. I think I'm trying to keep an eye out to see if anyone starts approaching.
Sure.
I'm probably doing the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So I think it'll probably be another 5 minutes before a single figure appears about halfway down the lane. Actually, sorry, my apologies, 2 figures. One of them slightly taller than the other. And there's this long pause. They're clearly they're obviously chatting. So you guys are at the second sort of 4-way crossing. They stop at the first 4-way crossing and are clearly chatting for a moment or two. I will ask anyone who cares to make it, since you're all keeping watch, to make a perception check.
15.
Okay. That's a... Okay. Yep.
I got
12.
4.
Yeah, 7.
7.
4. What does a 4 do?
4 leaves you basically blind in the dark. So a 15 will tell Chevalier that somebody is much nearer than the 2 people down the end of the way, but you can't figure out where you're being watched from. And that sensation lasts for a few moments, and then you're going to hear... I think V will clue in that because this area is full of wildlife. There are koi fish in the water, there are golden carp and that sort of thing swimming around. There are heron nesting in amongst the trees and stuff. There are ducks paddling around, the odd goose. And so there is wildlife noise around the place. It's just that I think V will clue in that one of the bird calls he hears has nothing to do with any of the birds currently present. And then you'll see the two figures down at the next corner of the lane. One of them sort of does the, and they turn and they start walking up towards where you're at.
I really have to say that I love that every time there's been a bird call, it's V that hears it. V is is it a twitcher?
A twitcher, yeah, is a bird watcher. Yeah, I like it.
It also
V
seems
is
to be
into
it seems to be an
ornithology.
elf thing as well.
I found this great meme today, which was somebody with a picture of an owl, and it had this look on its face like this. It was like a kind of half eyelided, and it was like,
I know where this is going.
yeah. And then the description was like the look on this owl's face when it hears something, and then there was a political statement after it. And then this reply was saying, I am an expert on owls, and he brackets ornithologist, and says that expression on that owl's face means that it is in an orgasm.
Thank you for sharing that with us. You've dramatically changed our opinion of American politics. So
The more you
And our viewer base.
I'll be here next week, everybody. See ya.
I mean, I don't know if you will be.
Alone. I'll be here alone.
gets last vote. Yes. All right. So yes. So. And then just because it's kind of amusing, hang on a second here. Yeah. Jazina is going to appear beside Spider with a gentle poke in the ribs and say, "My turn," as Aquidian and Zedreza walk up.
A lot less impressive a trick when we organized the meeting.
She smiles at you. Turnabout's always fair play. She wanders over to
Begrudgingly give a nod.
So yeah, so she'll walk over and meet Aquidian and Zedreza as they walk up. Aquidian is easily the tallest of the bunch. Jazina is easily the shortest of the bunch, and Zedreza is sort of in between. So Aquidian, of course, amber-eyed, sort of night sky skin tone. And then Zedreza is cyan-eyed, is the best description for her. Red hair, sort of a navy tone.
Cyanide.
Yeah, and then navy-ish skin color, sort of a gloss navy tone. And Jazina is red eyes and ashen skin. And keep in mind with the Ebon Elves, in the dark their eyes actually luminesce. So, yeah.
Ooh, that's great.
It's not floodlights. It's just very obvious that when they look, if they pull a cowl forward, literally all you see is the glow of the eyes.
Yeah, they're not like Cyclops. They're not destroying things with their eyes.
Yeah, no eye lasers, no.
for now.
For now, I know, right?
Yeah,
Let's keep these people happy.
So, Aquidian will stroll up. He is, as always, a dominating figure. He just tends to own the room. That's just his thing, if you will. He does presence as an AoE. And sweeps a low bow, comes up, presents Alexandri with a rose, smiles to the lads. Right, so have you made a decision?
We have. We would like to undertake your trial.
He nods. He smiles at Lucas for a moment. He said, "I had no idea you were such an aficionado of jousting."
It is a pastime that I enjoy engaging in.
Yeah, it's a passion of mine. I adore watching talented competitors. So,
Might I ask you who you must have been witness to the tournament the other night?
oh, wouldn't have missed it. Those tournaments are about weekly. The gouvernement is very big about having all the who's who. It's sort of a local thing. It stems back before, and so it's one of those things the gouvernement has continued on as a local culture, if you will. Particularly this time of year with all those tradesfolk. Good excuse to throw a party, bright lights, lots of drinks, too many people talking too
course.
much. Yeah. Excellent, excellent environment to learning all kinds of things and making new friends, isn't it?
Of course. And who might you think to be the most talented of the bunch?
I must admit, he says, to a little bit of bias in my delight in watching in Lady Shafisia. But I will openly admit that is a smidge of bias. But you cannot deny Trollmach's talent. Of the two, I'm of the opinion Trollmach is technically superior. Of the two, I would rather have Shafisia at war.
I mean, Shafisia is an incredibly deft and intelligent fighter.
Beside him, Zudreza speaks up. She's also got a mean streak, which is what he likes. At the point, Jazina very politely titters behind her hand. He kind of eye rolls at the two of them.
Yeah.
When you go to war, he a very philosophical expression in his voice. When you go to war, you want a mean streak. When you want to show off, you want technical ability. They're different jobs. Pleasing a crowd is technique. Convincing your enemies to never make the same mistake again requires a nasty streak.
Is it possible to have both?
He smiles slightly. I think so.
Well, your offer to find this urn.
But I know exactly where it is. I don't need you to find it. I need you to retrieve it.
Exactly.
Indeed, and for a job like that, the kind of person you need is a spider that can climb on walls.
There's more than one way to. There's more than one way to retrieve an urn. I'm not going to, bluntly, if I had the technical acumen to do it myself, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So I'm not going to debate with the professionals the best way to achieve the job. I will leave that entirely up to you and your. He glances at Lucas for a moment. Discretion.
Now, as for what comes after collecting this urn for you, which we will do.
If I was concerned about, if I was terribly concerned about about a potential risk of embarrassing failure on your part, I'd have called somebody else. So yes, I fully expect you to be able to do this menial task.
Wonderful. I will not be offended by your statement. We need your help.
Do you? What? How can I be of assistance?
Once we collect this urn for you, and I presume ongoing work with you, we need shelter.
Really? I thought you had a very comfortable spot at the Blue Skies. Has things changed suddenly?
Well, you were at the tournament, weren't you?
Oh, I indeed was, yes. Did I miss something? He smiles.
Perhaps. We are in a situation where we do not want to be seen as much as we can, despite, when I look at Spider, despite recent events.
Oh, okay.
But I'm going to leave you with that to think about. Perhaps we can talk more once we've completed this first task.
I think it's more than acceptable an idea, yes. He will very deliberately pull cloak back so he can see what he's reaching for, which is a hip pouch. He will take a bone scroll tube out, pass it to Lucas. Everything you should need, addresses, names, all the usual things are there. At that point, Jazina will actually cut him off. If there's any other information you need, just reach out to me via my alias. Specific questions. She will actually look over at Spider, or the character he is currently playing, and pass him a folded sheet of paper.
I take a quick glance at it.
Mm-hmm. Essentially, it's the equivalent of a code book. Ensure that anything you send to me uses that cipher. I expect you have the skills required to do rapid translations, she says with a smile. And I will be able to answer your questions as quickly as I can get, as quickly as I receive them. Continuing to use the blue sky as a drop is acceptable to me. If you need an alternative, let me know.
I think that should be acceptable.
She nods. Akidian, by the way, for his part, doesn't even blink about her having just run over him like that. He's just waiting patiently for her to be done. And he goes back to talking to Lucas. So, with the technical aspects of this resolved, and you have the location of your destination, I will leave it entirely up to you how to get this done. Now, potential accommodations, he says with a smile. You plan on being in town for how long?
I look to everyone else. 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. He turns to Alexandria and extends his hand. Open, palm up. Do you take his hand or just stare?
Yeah, no, take his hand.
He very gently kisses your knuckle and smiles at you, and he says, absolutely, remarkably manicured nails. You, I suspect, are a noblewoman of some kind. So I doubt a haystack in a field out of the city will be much to your accommodation. Am I wrong?
She takes her hand back. You are not wrong.
Very well. I do have a safe house that we operate out of the city. It is relatively comfortable. It is somewhat removed from the tourney circuit, however. It should be no problem to hide you there for a couple of weeks in relative quiet, and there's a remarkably good library.
Despite Master Edgewater's success this past eve, I don't think there will be any other appearances at the tournaments.
It's a shame. Made quite a splash. Let me know if that's an absolute or not, particularly if we can provide you with a safe house in between. Right. Is there anything else I can assist you with to enjoy your stay in the fair city?
I'm just going to look to Alexandre, Chevalier, and Spider, just to if they have anything, like something that they want to ask, go for it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just anything. And without any reply, I say, "Good morning."
Indeed, a fantastic way to end the day. Enjoy yourselves on the beginning of yours. At that point, Jazina, just because she finds it amusing, will give a wink to Spider and just sort of step off down off into a side puddle of darkness. Doesn't quite evaporate. I mean, Spider he knows what to look for. He's able to track her for a few moments, but she clearly veers off at an angle and is taking a different route. And Akidian and Zadreza turn and start strolling down the lane together, chatting as they go.
I so want to know where Jasina's going. I so want to know.
I think I'm starting to like him a little bit more.
Shall we go? I don't really want to talk about it here. I don't know where she went.
Find a quiet spot where we can review all the information.
Don't know how you could tell. I haven't done my nails in weeks. Well, week.
What are you doing with the rose, by the way? Because I suspect you're holding this rose awkwardly.
I am holding this rose. Yes. I would like to know more about this rose. What color is this rose?
Black.
I thought it might be.
Well, okay, a black.
Oddly.
Black in the sense of the midnight sky dibbled in the jewels of stars. It's this absolutely. It's not flat black like a sheet of crepe paper. It's a glowing sort of luminescence black with these little dots, like I say, that are almost, to your eye at least, looking into it is like looking at the night sky, but it's a rose.
I would like to use a perk.
Sure.
I would like to ask, apparently the song of the world, whether or not my Chroma has seen a rose like this before.
Ooh, good question. Give me a moment while I think about that. I think the answer is going to have to be yes. Yeah, I think it would make sense that the answer would be yes.
Okay. Danke.
So where are you lads and lasses going to go next? Where are you folks?
We're going to find a breakfast cart.
We just ate.
I would also point out that it is not yet 6 o'clock in the morning. The sun is barely now crawling up over the horizon, grudgingly, because it hasn't had coffee either. And so the odds of you finding anything akin to an outdoor breakfast option are probably fruit hanging on trees owned by somebody else right now. I think that's pretty much your lot, short of going into a building that may be advertising early breakfasts.
Damn it, this isn't metropolitan Sydney? What?
As you mention it, no, it turns out not to be metropolitan Sydney. It's actually called Bluebell to go.
I want to go to an artisan bakery and get a croissant.
And
Well, we'll go back to the dock. We'll talk to the other ship captains and we'll find which one's going to Sydney. It's a bit
Actually,
of a
maybe
detour,
that's where we can go. Can we go and sit on the docks?
No,
No! Where the bounty hunters are!
I mean, they never look there, right? I can just see the bunch of them walking by going, is that? No, they wouldn't be that stupid to be sitting right there. I can't.
in character, out of character, all of us immediately no.
I love it. I love it that, like, both in character and out of character, Drew was serious then.
Oh, gosh. Right.
I don't know. This time there's going to be a better place than it's going back to one of the rooms that we are currently, paying for.
Yeah.
But I want to see other parts of the city.
We can do that later.
It's 6 o'clock in the morning.
It's the best
Yes, I
time.
know. But if you're not going to let me go back to bed, I don't want to go back too close to bed.
I mean,
Go back to bed.
If there's no one around, then maybe it's the best time to go see the rest of the city.
Yes. So either we're seeing the rest of the city and walking and talking, or back to bed.
He opened was a little like scroll case, whatever it was.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah. What? Let's have a look at what we were given.
sure. So what you have, and I will actually get this prepped and tossed to you as an actual thing you can all read for next session. But essentially what you have is a scroll with a sketch of the house, where it is in the Judiciary District. A idea that there are 3 professional bodyguard and 7 people who live at the place. Calling it a manor is overstating it. Calling it a house isn't quite grand enough. It's somewhere in between the two. But yeah, and a note indicating basically that what you're looking for is in the house is sort of, just let me double check so I'm not getting this wrong. It's sort of a U shape. And the place you specifically want is it aligns the long axis of the house is north-south. It faces towards it's a C, if you will, in shape is probably more accurate. The top of the C is where the art gallery, if you will, is. That's going to have what it is you're looking for. 5th shelf in, apparently. Like, Aquidian has basically told you exactly where to go, who to expect on the way there, what they eat for breakfast. It's just very...
Well, I wasn't expecting the details of, like what shelf or whatever it's on.
He clearly
that makes
knows
it a lot
exactly
easier.
what it is. Like, exactly what it
Yeah.
is. The problem is the other chap won't give it to him.
Yeah, right.
So
it's like on public display then, like.
yeah, absolutely. What it is this fellow has got an art collection that, for dinner parties and whatever, you hang out in the gallery and chit-chat and ooh and ah of the objet d'art. That's great. It's just that there's a disagreement over who owns one of the pieces in his gallery. Aquidian is of the opinion he does.
Wonderful. Okay.
So
I kind of imagine that we are like wandering around in the city before dawn, and we're just like, oh, I wonder where this place is. And just as we open the scroll, there it is in front of us.
yeah. Hang on a second here. What the hell?
Jasper, if we were to perform a bit of a heist, what would we need?
Really depends which angle you want to take. If we want to burgle the thing, honestly, what I need is for the rest of you to stay quiet and out of my way.
Okay.
We want to go with a more elaborate plan involving deception, which I know is your strong suit, brother, but then I mean, there's a few different options. We could go with a visiting art appraiser from the capital. We could go with causing a ruckus. They're probably the easiest cons I can imagine for this particular job, but honestly, I'm not convinced I shouldn't just in and out this in the middle of the night.
Just as any kind of security, like other than the 3 guards.
If there is, there's no hint of it. Is the
And they're bodyguards, right?
Yeah, he's. I mean, now implicitly, and this is something I think, particularly Chevalier of all people would know, is there's going to be at least one of them sleeping on the premises on any given evening. The odds of him having all 3 there, all 3 during the day, probably. All 3 at night, probably not. They probably take turns, 1 or 2, staying at the building at night, just in case someone shows up at 2 o'clock in the morning with a knife in hand. That gives the, basically doing, alternating shifts kind of thing or something, but you wouldn't expect all 3 of them there. There's probably, like I say, one person in their bunk sort of waiting for the alarm to go off, and somebody else who's actually up and being around and keeping an eye on things. But it's not a modern setting. It's not like there's security cameras or anything, so it's physically going to be someone walking around saying, did I just hear something creak? Right.
I put my hand.
Of a fantastic setting in the sense that there's.
I put my hand on Jasper's shoulder and I say, brother, we all know that you can do this on your own, but that isn't fun. We all need to be part of this. Come on, we're a team.
Are we here for fun?
Well,
I'm mostly.
maybe not here for fun, but we may as well have some fun while we're at it.
Literally 24 hours ago, you had fun.
Yes, and now we're going to have fun, but not so visible.
Are you sure?
Well, that's what we've got Jasper here for. He's going to teach us a few things.
I'm not sure this
I do not think that
is a learning opportunity. While we will do what we can, it is important to understand whose expertise is best used where. And it is possible the 3 of us will have a role to play. We'll need to see this place in more than a sketch. But in the end, it is not worth jeopardizing the objective.
We are going to get that urn.
I don't doubt that. But I also am very aware that I am not the best suited at stealth.
But, my friend, either am I. But we can learn.
Yes, we can.
How?
Fine.
During
Okay,
a
both of you
mission
take
that
your
we are
armor
on.
off.
Exactly.
Oh,
That's step 1.
you really think V is going to be more stealthy?
No, I just know that Lucas won't take his armor off.
I can take my armor off.
Right. I see.
I can take my armor off.
No, it makes you feel naked. Don't do it.
I like feeling naked.
I
I'm not
Don't-
even convinced he isn't naked under that armor.
I am not. I am wearing clothes. Okay, I take off my armor.
no stop, please.
Look, I'm wearing clothes, and yes, I do feel naked, and yes, I like it.
Free as a bird.
Alexandria just walks away.
I can feel the breeze. It's wonderful.
Chevalier,
Nothing like that morning breeze.
you did bring up a point. Look, I could do this sight unseen given how much detail Equidian's given us, but if somehow we could get inside for another reason, I would have a much clearer idea of the path and can make it a lot quicker. Michelle,
The point I'm trying to make, Jasper, is that yes, you can do this on your own. But if things go wrong, we need to be there too.
that I'm more keen on. The idea of having you as backup is a solid plan. Because if I do happen to walk into 3 fully armed bodyguards, I don't particularly want to take them on my own.
No, you would die.
I'm not convinced that that's true, but I might have to kill them, and that's not exactly where I want to be.
you
that
die.
gets us further in
You
the...
would. I mean, 1 against 3. I mean,
I shot 4 people with 1 shot while we were on that ship.
You did very well, Jasper. You did great. That was wonderful to see.
How to politely tell your
Get
brother.
no respect around here.
How to politely tell your brother you were just bloody lucky.
To be fair, I was bloody lucky.
Not good at lying.
Oh, that's not been my experience of you, Princess.
When have I lied to you?
No, but I've, as far as I know, never. But I've watched you lie to others very effectively.
I don't understand.
You got us out of quite a pickle when we were stuck in that farmhouse. No, wait, not farmhouse. I don't, what was it called? The barracks.
The
thing we were in.
barracks.
Not by lying.
I think.
I mean, you told him we weren't going to come back and kill him, so...
Well, the intention at the time was that we weren't going to come back and kill him.
Ah, yes, but you see, the best lies have a kernel of truth in them.
But I wasn't. That
You were so convincing, in fact, that you convinced yourself.
No. No. I was just telling the truth.
That trick where you made the wall seem insubstantial, how long does that last? Can you control it at all?
I didn't control it.
Understood. Right, that's out of the running then.
What exactly do you want to do?
I just want to sneak in through a window in the middle of the night, take the damn thing, and be done with it.
Then why do you need walls to...
Because we have to have fun. Look at Lucas.
If we're going to turn this into a competition,
What?
what? Everything's a competition, Alexandre. Especially between Jasper and me.
Mr. Edgewater, I promise you, if we survive all of this, there will be time for fun. But let's do the surviving first.
Great. Do you mind if I add a little bit of fun in there?
Run it by me.
Well, it's more the option to. I don't have any suggestions right now. But it would be nice to be, well, while you are doing the greatest heist in the century, at least can we be there to watch?
We
Look.
should be on hand, but we
I'm
should
not entirely convinced that causing a ruckus and a distraction wouldn't be helpful. And you do have a score to settle.
Well,
What?
it's more. I don't really. They have a score to settle with me. To be honest, I was the better fighter.
Listen, I understand that that's true. nonetheless, if you wanted to indulge Master, whatever his name was,
Lancian.
sure. I imagine that the street just outside of this house, the Amandi's house, might be a suitable location for your duel.
I see what you're getting at, brother. Okay. Let's make a distraction. Everyone's silent, and this irks me.
Yes. There is good reason for that.
We will need to see the premises, at which point we will have a better understanding of what kind of distraction we will be able to cause.
Good point. I might go for a stroll.
Thought we were just standing outside it. Alexandra
Oh, are
just
we?
points at the house.
I thought that was a joke. Wait, are we outside the house?
Yeah, we're just standing outside the house.
I think that's hysterically funny that you've been walking and talking over this duration and are now over at the house. I think so. Yes, because I'm allowed to do that. That's where you are. So
This is.
I
this
would
is
like to
really,
invoke a trait then, if we're at the house.
sure.
for all the people watching at home. We were legitimately talking about the idea of us doing an open top bus tour of the entire town. So this may be our chance to actually see the place and see the house. With a tour, we've got our Lonely Planet guide in our hands.
So my observant perk, once per game session, I can use this ability to notice something out of the ordinary, such as spotting a hidden passage, something about a trace of blood under the fingernails of a character,
Yeah.
a wig that's not convincing, etc., etc. I guess I'm going to poll my fellow players. Should I ask for information about any hidden protections on the house, or should I ask about the easiest way in?
So I've got
Either
Easiest
one.
way in is going to be the front door. So
Well,
I mean,
easiest, easiest. If there's
More, I reckon it's less about the easy way
Ideal
in, more
way.
about the things that will stop us getting in, like the.
yeah,
I think,
because my instinct would be to go rooftop through a window,
trying to get a bead on
the cat burglar.
what we might not have noticed in terms of
Yeah.
security.
Okay, well that's sort of what I'm looking for as we case this house.
so
I'm
I've actually
looking for anything out of the ordinary that might give me cause to worry that this wouldn't just be an in and out job.
Yeah, so I've actually updated the view for the map, so for the stream. So there's actually the house of Mr. Amandi and family is now actually on the map. Amandi Asim. And it's labeled "Talk to a Man About an Urn." So you guys, yes, coincidentally, have just been strolling and chatting from the Lake of Ancestors up along the top of the caravan port, and just sort of into the judiciary, chatting about a heist, because that seems to be a reasonable place to chat about a heist, is in the judiciary district. And now you just happen to be standing outside the fellow's house, because like I said, it's not exactly a Disney movie, but there are times that the Emperor's New Groove is a guiding light to me. So. How did you get here before we did?
Excellent film.
So there's a few things. So what is the cosmic question?
Michelle, can I offer an alternative name for this quest?
Sure.
It's earning down the house.
leave. Just leave.
out.
Don't say
Bye,
another
everybody.
word. Just
It's been a
leave.
pleasure.
It's been great. Thank you. Unlawful Disorder was fantastic. It was supposed to
We
be
had a good
longer
run.
running, but
They all lived happily ever after. They got the urn,
can't happen anymore. I'm sorry.
and
I can't work under these conditions.
I mean, we're not going to go with earning trust.
Oh, that's so much better.
That was what was in my head, and I didn't do it because I knew Sam was also here.
Oh, that's so much better. Oh my god.
Oh goodness! You know something? I think it's an excellent time for a break, and then we'll get back to big questions and the like. So, all right, we'll be back in 2 or 3 minutes. Bye.
Hello.
All right, we're back. So the hard part with this group is when I come back from break is they're all talking about the game and getting them to be quiet long enough for us to go live again to go back to gaming. I love the enthusiasm, but there are times.
No, we're getting very excited back here. When the lights go out, we keep going.
I was promised more game with my game.
Can I get a side of game with my game?
Please, for side of game.
All right.
I was invoking my observant perk.
Right.
I would like to know if there is anything about the house, the location, anything out of the ordinary that isn't in Equidian's notes that could be like a potential pitfall for us in terms of my current plan is basically to get in and get out, like
Right. So,
slip through a window and
yeah, so there is one little detail. Small detail. It would be, and I think it's actually, I'll ask Alexandri. I think it's going to be Alexandri who points it out because I think it's the most plot appropriate character to do so. I will ask you to roll a perception roll, probably followed by a prescience.
My dice hate me right now.
Excellent.
So, perception is 5.
Uh-huh.
Prescience, on the other hand, 14. It bounced off a 20, and now I've realized I need a dice tray really badly.
All right. So a 14 is a smidge short of a challenging check. A 5 doesn't even really get to 4 or 5 doesn't even get halfway to every day. So I think what's going to happen is that while you're all collectively casing the place, in spite of the fact it's mechanically Spider asking the question, it's going to be Alexandri who realizes that her, excuse the pun, her spider sense is tingling. There is a distinct aura of magic about the place. There is a magical field of some kind in the area. You see that nice little garden wall? If you take a look at the map.
yeah.
Yeah, for lack of a better way of putting it, I guess the best description of putting it is Alexandri's convinced the wall is staring at her.
Yeah, I would totally know about that.
That's so much. Why has it got to be magic?
What?
Do we get a sense of the power level? I guess.
Not with a 14. Now, if you want to spend some time collaborating, standing out in front of a potential Mark's house at just before 6 o'clock in the morning as the sun's coming up, waving your hands in the air and casting a few spells, I'm totally okay with the group trying to make an attempt to figure it out. But you are also in the Judiciary District.
I would not like to do this thing. What I would like to do is... No, I actually really wouldn't like to do that thing either. Never mind.
Okay.
Magic.
Yes.
Well, that's not fun.
Well, depends on who you are. If you have magics, then yes, it's quite fun.
It was watching, you say?
Yes.
Can we move so it's not looking at us?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Right.
To nonchalantly stroll on.
Yep.
Let's pretend nothing is happening. We over-exaggeratedly walk nonchalantly.
There is a small park district just on the other side of the judiciary, so I'm going to just arbitrarily decide that in the trees mean it can't see us is where you wind up.
That's it. If it can't see you, you can't see it. That thing.
Yes, and vice versa. Yes.
Yes.
there.
Read with us.
Well, there's a spanner in the works.
Is there a way to neutralize? Yes, there is. There are specific banes for that purpose, I think.
Well, I was asking about the power level,
Yeah.
because the nullify works off the level of the bane.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, I'm not sure it's something that Alexandre has ever tried to do, is turn a spell off. She's still getting
No.
with turning them on.
If I'm honest, because of the way that Alexandre thinks, I was actually more thinking whether or not she could blind it
Uh-huh.
instead.
Yep.
Because if it's watching, maybe blinding it could work rather than trying to turn it off. We're not trying to turn it off. It just doesn't see for that moment while we do whatever we do.
I don't know.
Alexandre.
I don't know if Alexandre has the appropriate skill, but like, I've got access to nullify as a bane. In the actual sense of turning it off, but it's not high level.
How does helping work?
Excellent question. Let me just double check the chapter and verse. I believe it is essentially you contribute advantage, but let me double check. On either that, or if a Great Mustache is still in the audience, if you feel like quoting chapter and verse into chat, go ahead. It'll speed the process up.
Great mustache.
I'm just grabbing book.
Is there like so the
Assist
wall
gives advantage.
Fantastic.
Okay.
So we're looking at the wall is magic. Is there, Alexandre, can you do a scout around to see if there is like parts of the wall that aren't magic?
Very suspicious if we start walking around the back of this guy's house.
Yeah, I
True.
mean, there is an alley back there. If you take a look at the artwork, you'll see that there's a gap between, essentially a greenway, if you will, that runs down between the two sets of gardens. So yeah, technically, yes, you could go strolling through there, but that's exactly the sort of place Spider in particular would know, and possibly Chevalier, that, for lack of a better way of putting it, that's the servant's road. If you have deliveries, if you have the garbage collector, the grocer dropping stuff off, if you've got waits, servant staff, that's the side of the building they come and go from, not the side.
Remind me, Michelle. Equidian says he didn't care if Amandi knew that the urn was stolen if he couldn't link it back to him, right?
That's exactly it. The only thing Equidian cares about is plausible deniability in this.
Right, so I don't need to like make it look like someone stole a bunch of stuff.
No,
or anything. I can just steal just the urn. And
For lack of a better way of putting it, I mean, and this is, I think, something that Alexandre and Lucas can probably guess at, is it would probably tickle Equidian to no end to have Amandi know who the problem was but not be able to prove it. That's just exactly the sort of thing that Sinru would delight in doing to each other. Okay?
Yes, it's better than just stealing the urn, to steal the urn and piss him off at the same time.
Yes. And that's sort of the, particularly at the Jazine, I think it's comment about, Quidian having a mean streak, that would play exactly into the kind of games he would delight in.
What we can do when we steal the urn is decimate all the topiary in the garden at the same time.
That seems unfair to the plants.
Every 10th flower must die.
Strangely, I actually think I could do that.
I like this. We each
don't
have
know
a
if
role
I
to
do.
play. We still can't get past this magical wall.
I have some.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Chantel, what happened?
Shuffle.
I tried to unmute.
You stopped your video.
Oh, just so
Yeah.
there we go.
Oh, hello.
And that's
Oh, hello.
an awkward picture of
Wow.
Drew should probably
Drew, please. Paint your picture, put it back on. No, put your thing back on, please.
Then Jamie, then me.
Yes,
Sorry.
Jeez.
Sorry, what happened
Yeah.
there? Just
Professional.
doing
We
some
accidentally showed that picture.
Accidentally.
Very
I don't know what picture it is.
Just doing
Oh, you
some-
don't. No, don't turn it off again.
I have to do it because
No, you don't.
Oh, is it you?
don't.
Is it
Oh.
you doing push-ups or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the one.
I kind of have to because Chantel, you need to get past me.
No, I think that is that everything. Everything's good now. I think that.
Everything's fine.
Sam's
We're
in the
good.
Sam spot. Jamie's in the Jamie spot. Chantel's where. Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
Oh,
When you turned yours off, that
Yeah.
Chantel went past you.
Yeah.
great.
Yes.
Say that the wall.
You
You say that the wall was watching you, Alexandri. My guess is that kind of magic is selective, and were I to enter with someone who was meant to be entering the house, then that would be acceptable to it.
Okay. Who would be acceptable?
Presumably the servants who enter and exit via the back entrance.
Okay. Why don't we just introduce ourselves?
Is there much information that in the bundle that Aquidian gave us about the person in particular, who they are?
No. It's I mean, it's a house. Like I say, you have a list of people's names, the folk who live there. The fact that there are going to be 3 guards on staff. I think it's a family of 7. I said, of which Amandi is the titular head of the household. There's 3
Does it
bodyguards.
mention how many staff there is other than the bodyguards?
No, it doesn't actually. Now, I think it's perfectly reasonable for Alexandre and Chevalier with and even Lucas with their knowledge of the Sinru society that for a family of 7 they've probably got 2 full-time servants, one of which probably lives with them. Because of the family of 7, there are a couple of children. So there's probably the nanny caretaker probably lives in the building, and then the other staff is the cook, general housekeeper person, groundskeeper, that sort of thing. And they're probably a come and go daylight hours sort of person. That would be reasonable to expect.
If I have a limited capacity to nullify magic, I would be concerned without having more information that at the moment it is not strong enough to deal with whatever is enchanting this wall. However, if it is responding to, if it is looking using visuals, perhaps we could obscure its vision.
Yes.
I have a question.
Okay.
How does magic work?
I want to do something, and then I ask how to do it, and then it happens.
So, can we find a way to ask it to stop looking at you?
The nature of this magic, Michelle,
Yes.
is it anything like La Chanson?
So this is a really this is the hammer and nail joke all over again. Alexandre doesn't know of any other type of magic.
This is true.
And so it's the hammer and nail problem. All magic for her is the chanson.
Does it sound like La Chanson?
Like I said, the problem was you weren't hearing anything. What you were feeling, what you had was an actual visceral feeling of magic watching you. You weren't hearing music. You were feeling stared at by the wall, which you were vaguely aware was an enchanted effect.
So easy if Treat was here. Right. You're not going to like this idea, but
Then why would you make it?
because I think it's not a bad one. How much do we have to do this morning? Anything important that needs to be, outside in the city?
Why?
Alexandria might need her nails done. It's been a week.
Ow.
If we were 10 minutes further on, I'd say that's actually where we were going to end this episode. That's a great closing line. You're just 10 minutes early.
I'll give you another one. You see, sometimes
Are
the
we allowed
best
to give
way.
legend points? Because I'd like to give.
What was that, Sam?
you.
Sorry.
Can we hand out legend points? Because that was,
Oh, yeah.
that was both the question and the reaction was so good.
It is actually,
Remember the advice I gave you about ambushes?
You know, we were talking about topiary, but
Well, sometimes the best way to fool an alarm is just to trip it.
no.
Everyone ready for a run?
What, right now?
I need to put my armor on.
Can I quickly see? Would I be able to recall, in my previous experience from working in security and things like that for the Dondu family, a similar kind of like setup?
sure, make a learn. Let me just double check something. I think I'm gonna say goodness. I'm trying to figure out. So, what I'm going to ask you to do is to pick one of Deception, Persuasion, Prescience. Roll it first as as a idea of how well versed you are with with society. That's your social battery of skills. So you pick which one you prefer. I'm going to use it as a measure of Chevalier's social experience in your time with the Donadu, traveling through Sinru society and seeing various prestigious homes and things like that. And then depending how well you do that, we'll use that as a modifier on a learning roll as to whether or not you've actually can recall, have done this sort of thing before.
What were those three options again?
Deception, Persuasion, or Prescience.
Presence or prescience?
Presence.
Ah, right. I was about to say those are all the same, but I actually presence is a little bit better.
Okay.
Particularly when you roll a 6. 25.
25. Wow. All right. I'm going to give you advantage 2 on a learning roll with that.
Ooh, fun.
That's an extraordinarily good roll. Yeah. I'll give you advantage 2. Because we're talking about 50 years worth of having been hanging around with people, amongst other things, people attempting to murder the family you hang out with, right? Yeah.
It's a 20.
20, all right. A 20 falls into the category of a heroic outcome. You have absolutely seen this sort of thing before. In point of fact, the Donadu family had this actual sort of enchantment laid into their walls. It's literally the equivalent of a closed-circuit camera. There's going to be the equivalent of a crystal ball somewhere in the house, probably that the bodyguard is hanging out in front of, that is just anything that bothers the walls, flashes up on whatever, the viewing crystal or the pool or whatever. It's literally the equivalent of a closed circuit camera.
So it is based on, like, the wall has to see the thing,
Yes.
essentially.
It literally, the better term for it is it's clairvoyance, which sort of falls into the category of prescience as an extraordinary ability, which is the reason I wanted Alexandria to roll that to see if she recognized what the spell would be. But she'd never
Yeah.
had to deal with it around she's been basically, Alexandria's how old?
18.
Yeah, so it would have been background noise, and the wall would have never been looking at her anyway, so she would have never noticed.
No.
So, yeah. So, but for Chevalier, this is... What this tells you, for lack of a better way to put it, everybody that Chevalier ever met that had this type of spell cast on their wall was usually someone with a colorful past, let's use that phrase. The Donahue and other leading families of the Sinru.
Would I have, like, I wouldn't think about this, but in like a mechanical game sense, what like level of boon that would represent? Sort of like a power level scale?
Yeah, it's relatively cheap. I think it winds up to be a PL3. Let me double check that so I'm not being wrong.
Really?
Yeah,
PL3, you say?
It's incredibly limited. You basically have got to be trying to you've got to be trying to jump the wall, traverse the wall, anything that would make the quote wall unhappy. Beating the wall with a stick will do it. Walking down the street and ignoring the wall, it could care less. It's incredibly restricted in what this ability does. Technically, if you fly high enough over the wall and drop down, the wall doesn't see you. You had nothing to do with the wall. It's people trying to circumvent the wall that triggers.
Is it focused out and not in?
It's actually all the way around. So if you were to jump right...
No, is it like, if you're on the other side of the wall, is that generally you've sort of...
Yeah.
you're good, or...
No, most of them it's a
sort of like a bubble around the wall.
Yeah, if you will.
Yeah, okay.
Basically, what it is, for lack of a better, the wall it represents a donut sphere, a torus-shaped detection field that if you go into, an image pops up in whatever scrying device is being used inside. Is the best way of explaining it, but it's relatively cheap. It's a PL3.
How thick is the wall?
You would imagine half a meter. That's typical stonework, right? Probably 15, 20 centimeters worth of finished stone on both sides, and then a rubble core, so that if you hit it with something, you tend to squish the wall instead of breaking it. That's a pretty standard style of construction.
Mr. Kilcare, I have given it some thought, and I have seen this kind of security measure in the past. I believe I can provide 2 options for potentially dealing with the wall. On one hand, I could simply disable a section so that it is not working. That would
What exactly
potentially...
does it do? It's some sort of alarm.
It will trigger the visual of what is happening around the wall. If it is triggered, is projected to a set device, usually some kind of crystal ball or other kind of viewing focus. It would be somewhere that the security would have access to, and if they see something that they feel requires further investigation, they would take some action depending on what their protocols and training dictate. So I feel like I could disable a section of the wall for a time. I could also obscure its vision. The other option, potentially, is that we just give it something else to look at that they will have to respond to. And then there might not be someone there to see you.
And if I don't touch the wall,
It is not about contact with the wall. It is more proximity. There would be an
close?
area around different for different enchantments, but you would not want it to go too far out, or anyone walking by on the street would be sending triggers back.
how tall is the wall, Michelle?
2 meters. It's got. I mean, it's 2 meters of solid masonry, and then there's your usual pigeon spikes on the top.
How tall is the building?
It's a 2-story building, so probably 4, 5, 4,
Yeah.
a minimum 4 meters, probably closer to 6. We like first floor, second floor, plus a peak roof. Yeah, you're probably actually more like 2.5, probably close to 7 meters tall in the attic.
What's this building down to the south of it, though? That's too, like, they're not close enough, are they, for some high-flying acrobatics?
That would be a pretty epic jump. Let's do it that way.
Yeah, I imagine the one from the north is doable, but the problem is the walls in between them.
Yeah.
And who knows if that house has its own bullshit.
Yeah. Like I say,
Sorry.
I was just gonna say yes. The biggest single thing to keep in mind about it is, like I say, it's not something that everybody does. As I say, Chevalier's experience is it's families with a colorful background is the sort of phrase that I think I'm actually going to attribute that one straight up to Grand-Mère as to why she was having it put into the walls. When you guys gifted a particular house and Chevalier going, "Why is the wall staring at me?" and her comment was, "This is the sort of thing that goes for families with have colorful backgrounds." I think that's going to sort of be the flashback.
You know, this reminds me of a job I did in Capital once, and a man with a mustache said to me, "The best way to get over a wall is with a catapult."
Is he still alive?
Not to my knowledge.
Gosh.
I mean, I'm telling you, I can just turn off a part of the wall.
I think
Okay.
that's a much more reasonable
Here we go.
approach.
Chevalier, can you turn off part of the wall, please?
We need
Yes.
a good excuse.
Jasper, come here.
Yes.
And I
Wait,
pick
you mean
Jasper
now?
up.
What's he doing?
Chevalier,
We're
turn
not
off the
doing
wall,
this
please.
now. Yes. Lucas, stop.
I've got
that's where-
Jasper above my head.
And we're going to actually stop at that moment with and that's where we're going. We'll with Chevalier going,
Spider dressed as this refined elf woman. Deviled Lucas.
It's an excellent place to wrap the scene for this week.
Brilliant. You'll have to toss me.
You said catapult.
Well, that was a recommendation from Great Moustache in chat.
Man, I was wondering. I thought that's what the man with the mustache did comment, and then of course he's still alive, not to my knowledge. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else watching, thank you very much. That's it for us for this week. All right, so it is the saddest time of the stream, which is the goodbyes and where to find us next part. So we'll start out with, given the delight of that last closing moment, we'll start out with Drew.
Bye, everybody. I am Drew. You can find me on Twitter at DrewWilson. I am an actor, a writer, and a puppeteer. But I only really appear online here as in a stream. So next week, you have to see me. Oh my god. But I might post something. I have a blog called talesfromthetavern.wordpress.com, and usually I write every week, but at the moment it's every couple of weeks, a little perspective from Lucas, just to go alongside with the story.
All right. Jamie.
That's me. Man, I never have so much fun achieving almost nothing than I do with you guys.
Thank you, I think.
We got through a whole... You know what? This is the first time I think I've played a D&D session, D&D-esque session, where less time passed in-game than did in real life. Except like combat.
Yep.
Like it's only been an hour and a half or something in game. We spent 3 hours talking about it.
Yeah, at most it's been an hour and a half more. I would suspect, maybe an hour is closer, but yeah.
Yeah.
I slept.
Yeah.
Did you sleep?
Did sleep, but...
It's been more than 8 hours.
Oh man. No, I as always, I have a wonderful time playing with you guys. My name is Jamie Collette. You can find me here every week. You can find me on my website, jamie-collette.com. I'm a professional voice actor. And you can find me as the lovelorn Bassanio in The Merchant of Venice on Streamed Shakespeare in, I think it's 3 weeks' time. It's the company's first fully rehearsed live streamed Zoom Shakespeare. It's gonna be a bit of a wild adventure, but I'm excited.
All right. And Chantel.
Hey, bye. I always forget that I'm an actor when I'm here. I'm like, I'm just playing games. But I'm an actor and a writer and frequently complaining about my PhD on Twitter at Chantel B. You can also find me here in 12 hours playing Far From Home, which is not right here, probably YouTube. We've been on YouTube a lot recently, but like check that out. Check out Do Respite. Follow Do Respite.
Yes.
And we'll be somewhere in 12 hours playing Far From Home, which is a sci-fi Savage Worlds game. And there are some weird things happening. Anything that happens with Do Respite, I am involved somehow. And if I'm not, I make it my business to become involved somehow. But I also do a lot of writing at Words with Color, so like check that out, because I write about this stuff all the time.
All right. Sam?
Hello, I'm Sam. I'm also a voice actor and a performer. You can find me on Do Respite, also on The Curious Case of the Paddington Prowler, which is on Mondays. Which surprisingly Chantel is also involved with.
Who'd have thunk?
It's a sort of steampunk Victorian dark fairy tale kind of tale story thing where we mostly feel awful and cry for your enjoyment.
But it feels good, right? It feels it's good.
Oh.
It's good.
Cathartic.
Sad.
Cathartic. I was supposed to be doing this last week, but it's going to be this coming week. I will be stepping into Atonium Gate as well.
Oh, very cool.
With a character that definitely exists. And outside of that, you can find me on Twitter at @the_realSemiP, and you can hear my last piece of work that I did was for the Penny Peep Show, who do wonderful radio drama style podcasts, and I was on a town called Prodigal, which is a show that they've done previously. There's been a couple of shows out since, which have been great. So I recommend listening to all of that as well.
All right. My name is Michel Vaillancourt. I am the storyteller and games master for this remarkably talented bunch of folks. I get up in the morning and go, ugh, I have to get on stage. And they go, oh, but I'm gaming with this bunch. Never mind. So So yeah, thank you very much for joining us. You can catch up with me on Twitter, MichelleV69, like it says beside my my picture box. You can also catch up with me 902PE Gaming Sunday mornings, where I talk about running games and doing maps and other such stuff. So yeah, if you want to see sort of what goes on behind the screen, that's pretty much what I stream about. Thank you very much for watching us, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else. Deeply appreciate your time, whether you're watching us live or on the VOD later. Do Respite Productions is the brainchild of Eric. He strongly believes in investing in stories, and that's what we're all here to do. We deeply appreciate your time and you joining us. If you're not already following Do Respite, please do so. If you're not already, if you've got a chance to, please consider subscribing and supporting. That way we can keep doing this. It helps everybody else to be able to keep the lights on. So that's it. Thank you very much. Take care of yourselves. Have fun with whatever it is you're doing, and we'll be back next week. Bye-bye.